I didn't know that there was another book on the way.
Yeah. Actually, it's at the publisher right now. So it's the fourth book in the 4-book series, True Deceit, False Love.
Now, I know that both of you love to talk about this subject of narcissistic abuse.
Yeah.
It is a bona fide fact both of you are quite skilled at talking about that. But Anushka, you're going to take the lead today as a co-host with me. First time being in that position.
Yeah.
Normally you're on the end in which you're grilled by me and tortured. And now we get to team up to get into the mind of Marnie.
Yes.
You, Marnie, have been on a number of shows. You do exactly what I've mentioned to a number of people when it comes to marketing. You got to go on the road. You got to take your books on a virtual tour. And I love some of the people that you've been doing a number of things with.
Yeah.
I find myself wanting, I'm giving a few people time to come in. I find myself wanting, I'm going to do something here and everybody will be able to see it. You may not be able to see us, but I just want to put this up for a second. Marnie, you know who that is, right?
I know. Tracy Malone.
I just had to get this out of the way. If it was not for Tracy, you and I would have never met.
Right. She introduced us. Yeah.
So I give a shout out to her. She has had a hand in Marnie and I meeting, and I have learned a great deal of things from her and from Marnie as well.
That's an amazing book that's out.
Yeah.
You know, Divorcing Your Narcissist. You can't make this stuff up. So that's a wonderful resource.
Yeah, without a doubt. As we do this show today, for those of you that will watch this or that are here in the live, you must know that we here on our end at Narc Abuse TV Network from the NATV studios, we are just now coming back from vacation. So some have wrote last time, it seemed like I was a little slow, and I am. So that's why Anushka is here. So Marnie and I have done a number of different things together, but I want to get into, and I'm going to put this up on the screen for everyone to see. Please go out and purchase her books. So feel free to talk about your books, and Anushka, talk a little bit. I'm going to put something up for the viewers that will watch this so they know what books we're talking about. This is the first one, correct?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And this is the second one. Now, with the first one, were there 2 parts to the first one or no?
No, the first one is
Or is just
50,555 terms on domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, and parental alienation. So it is just a lot of words, terms, and phrases. That's the first book.
Okay. The second book is this one, correct?
Yes, and that has acrostic poems that are not gender or role specific, really. So anyone could read these poems and get some kind of validation and information and support just by reading these poems. There are 13 poems for each letter of the alphabet.
Okay. This would be the third book, correct?
Yes, and the third book is a survivor's workbook, where if you find that writing is something that you resonate with, and that can provide some healing and help you connect the dots to everything, this shows you how to write your own acrostic poetry and do your own work there. So yeah.
Now, you have decided to put these books together because of what you experienced in life. Could that be safe to say?
Yes, definitely. I would say most people that, devote a lot of energy into bringing awareness to this have had some sort of experience with, the domestic family abuse. So yes, I have had experience myself, but, I'm also someone who has reached out to other people to hear their stories and understand what they've gone through. There's a lot of commonalities to our story. And so, yes, so I definitely have experienced this myself. Yeah.
Anushka, I know you had some points that you wanted to highlight in regards to the first book. And now that we have the author here and we can delve into the mind of Marnie, phrases, words have power. You highlighted to me that you wanted to talk to her about.
I did indeed. I think if we're talking about the first book, oh my God, well done. It's absolutely amazing. I think that it is do you know what? It's a wonderful reference guide for someone who doesn't understand or doesn't know what they are going through. It provides medicine, to be honest with you, because when you are going through something like that, you become stuck. You don't necessarily know how to communicate what you are going through. So what you have provided here is a lifeline for somebody to be able to articulate exactly what they are going through. And it's like what Paxton has said, words do have power, even when we are in that toxic relationship. The way that person speaks to you, what words they choose, the sentence formation, words do have power and words do affect us. Yeah. So I feel like what you have written here is literally it's a survival guide, isn't it? It's for somebody to be able to articulate what they are going through. And words can be misconstrued. They are used against you in these kind of dynamics, in these toxic dynamics. And for somebody who doesn't understand it, these words do provide meaning for them, don't they?
Yeah, there's, and validation of what they've experienced, so many of us that have had to navigate, our experiences. We don't always know we're in an abusive situation. I mean, months and years and even decades can go by. And, there's that cognitive dissonance, which is, of course, one of the terms in the book. But there's, where something is just not quite right, but you can't really put a finger on it. And, but you go along in your life and, because you're a good person with integrity, you kind of think the people you surround yourself with also have those same values. But you find out at some point that no, you're dealing with someone that has really a personality disorder. Of course, undiagnosed, and we're not here to diagnose anyone, but they certainly have all those traits. And they definitely use language or the omission of language to slowly gaslight you into believing that your reality is not really what you think it is. So the words have the power to hurt, but they also have the power to heal.
They do indeed. That's so important to remember. They do. Words do heal. And I feel like because it allows us to process what we are going through, but also to make sense of this experience as well. And I think you're absolutely right. They do. They use these words against us. It's the gaslighting, isn't it? It's the altering of somebody else's perception of what's going on. I think that's so damaging. And these effects can last for years.
Right. And it's done so subtly. It's done in a way that you really, just don't feel like you're going to call them on it because, there's a little bit of truth in some of the things that they say. But, how I came to writing this first book, I had already been using writing in a way to heal. I wrote, my first book was a spiritual fiction called God Came to My Garage Sale. And it was after experiencing miracles, during a very, very tough time where I had to leave the world as I know it. I had to leave my home. I found I was left with nothing and, no home, no money. Actually, no children, even though I had a beautiful relationship with them into their 20s. So, it was just a shocking situation. And so the writing I found to be very healing. There were many versions of that first book. But then I, really tweaked it and wanted to make it a spiritual fiction. But in the meantime, I was always writing down terms that people were talking about. Like, I didn't even know what narcissist abuse was. I didn't really even fully understand the term of narcissism. But then there's so many other terms, okay, brainwashing, no contact. Some of those things make sense, but there were a lot of terms that I really needed to look up to fully understand. So I would just, as I was healing and trying to make sense of what I was going through, I would have a spiral notebook where I would start writing down these terms with the intention that I would look them up and kind of put the pieces of my own puzzle together with, it certainly made sense what people were talking about. So after a while, the list was like 100 words. It was like so many words I had to look up, but it didn't take too much longer that there were 1,000 words. And then I really, really did a deep dive into this. And I thought, wow, if this is helping me doing the research, understanding what these mean, kind of doing some reflecting on my own experiences and putting it all together, then I thought maybe I should write a book.
Yes.
And I should put this together. And so once I got going with that, it became a passion to want to not only heal myself, but also to help other people and inspire other people, because I know the feeling of being totally alone. And as we know, this can happen to both men and women. It's not a gender specific thing at all. So, if I'm talking and I'm using my perspective, it's only because that's what I have experienced. But anyway, so the first book definitely has all these terms, and in searching out the terms, I always came across Dr. Sam Vaknin, because he actually coined a lot of these terms.
He did.
For people who don't know who he is, he's from North Macedonia. He is a self-proclaimed narcissist who is a professor in psychology, and he has really, his passion is to spread awareness about narcissism and narcissistic abuse in all different dynamics, not just in a romantic relationship. It can be in a work relationship. It can be with family members. It can be with friends. And so just in following his work, I decided to reach out to him. And not only did he want to endorse this first book, he wanted to write the introduction or the foreword to this book. So that was just, really nice. And I do have in all my books, they're all prominently endorsed by people that if they're tuning into abuse recovery programs, the names will be familiar. And so honored that both you and Paxton were part of books 2 and 3.
You're gonna make me blush. You're gonna make me blush. I'm telling you.
So honored, and it's validating for someone that has gone through this to know that there are other people that really get it. They really get it. They understand. And there's a lot of healing just in that alone.
I have to step in for a second and ask this question then. Both of you have been able to reach individuals through your books, through your programs, through social media, through many different ways. What have you recognized when it comes to the manipulation or the shame that a narcissist tries to put on another person, and even to the point that they create parental alienation in the life of the victim? What have you recognized?
Well, for me, just briefly, that they all follow the same playbook. I mean, so so I could share my story, and it will very much mirror pretty much everyone else's story. Of course, there's some differences, but we all kind of go through similar things, and they kind of follow. It's almost like they're programmed in a way. That's mind blowing.
Yeah.
What do you think, Anushka?
You are so right. I'm like literally nodding my head here. You're right. They're all programmed. It's all the same behaviors. It's all the same phrases as well. It's all about power and hierarchy. And I'm better than you. You listen to me. Do what I say. Every single time it's taking something from another person. It's never their own. It's never any recognition. It's taking something, whether, yes, it's taking that energy, integrity, identity of another person. And this is, and in some way, this builds them up. This makes them stronger. That's what I've noticed, through the work that I've been doing this over the years. You're right.
And also, because they take so much from other people, they are really empty shells. Like, they really, they don't even understand people, and they're not very genuine. They have no problem lying, and honesty is one of the values that, is probably the biggest value that I hold dear. And so you are completely, there's different phases to the abuse. So you really don't know that you're in the thick of it until you're way into it. And, in my case, I divorced my abuser after 27 years, and people will say, like, how did you stay in that so long? But there, I've read of people that have stayed in 50-year marriages that are finally figuring it out. But yeah, so they study you, you're almost a chosen person. Now, I've heard the term for parental alienation, that you're a chosen parent. So if you are the parent that has lost your children, whether it's a father or a mother, chances are you are the chosen parent, because the abusers will get the young or adult children to align with them. Kind of like a brainwashing situation or whatever. So you're like a chosen parent, just in the same way that these people chose you. They're seeking out, who do they want to, be involved with, and they pick people that are nice, loving, forgiving, kind of look at the world with a positive lens, which I'd like to say I still do. I still want to believe in goodness and in humanity. And I don't want to let this one abuser, and then I later on found out there were others too, because there's flying monkeys or family members, people that, you once you've gone through this, you and then you start doing some of the inner work, and you look into your situation, you realize that there are others here too. So you were chosen, and so that's something as far as the similarities, I think.
I wanted to, if we could please take a look at our friend on the screen here of the refrain, giving a little love to you there, talking about the first book in the series. Sounds like a concordance of abuse. Any thoughts from some of the things you've seen coming across the screen, or in this particular comment?
Well, go ahead, Anushka, if you want.
I was just going to say thank you. I know who this is, so thank you so much for putting your comment across. I'm glad that you're going to order all the books. You will really elevate your recovery, and this really helps to put words to something that maybe some of us don't understand or don't really necessarily know how to communicate that. Language is silent, and there can be no understanding. And I think that phase is very prominent. It's true. We are sometimes silenced. We have to, when we are gaslighted, or when we also experience the silent treatment from these abusers, and we spend a lot of time in our heads, maybe ruminating, trying to figure out, like, what did I do wrong? And it's like, Dr. Marni, what you said before, there's like different stages of this. And so I think this is really important, and it's a really prominent statement. Where language is silent, there can be no understanding.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
You're getting a lot of love, Marnie. I see. I'm putting up. There's a lot of comments that I haven't even been able to get to yet. You're getting a lot of love from the viewers, and hopefully everyone will get a chance to make it a point to put the pizza down. spend money on the books. Don't be a cheapskate and embarrass me in front of my guests. Please go out and pick up the book. I truly appreciate it. Much love to you, Kenya, Dr. Kenya Speaks TV, for making sure that as many as possible can be reached by means of Dr. Marnie and Anushka and this show. Just a food for thought for anyone that comes here and it's your first time here. Feel free to connect with Marnie on her platforms and ways to reach her, and Anushka as well. She has her Ask Anushka format in helping you get balanced in your psychological steps in life. There is something on the screen here from Raven Scott Girl Talk. She says, writing and journaling have helped me in my healing process.
Yeah.
Thoughts on that, please. By the way, everybody, please subscribe to Raven Scott Girl Talk. I'm saying that because I have an ulterior motive. She's going to have a show here on our network coming up soon. So feel free to do that. You're going to see a number of shows here. But anyhow, anybody want to comment on what Raven says there?
Well, I just know that Anushka has a journaling. She gives journal prompts on a regular basis. And that is very helpful for so many people. And I also have found writing to be extremely therapeutic. I was never one to even get into poetry, even though as a kid, I loved doing acrostic poems because they were easy, and I wasn't overwhelmed with them, and I, could understand acrostic poetry. But the poetry, is actually good because you can take topics and issues in small segments and unpack it, and as opposed to the whole idea of thinking, I've got to write an entire book, or I need to write an entire essay. That could be overwhelming. So you really want to, you can take it in small segments, but it's a very safe place to work out your thoughts is with words, because you can journal, and then it could make you think of something else, and something else you'll start writing more, and one thing leads to another, and it's just you kind of get it out, which is really nice, because not everyone can afford counseling or even want to go that route. There's only so many hours in the day to tune into podcasts or to read literature. So writing is very healing. There's many, many different ways that people can heal, but writing is wonderful. And Anushka, your journal prompts, and just your program and just your shorts, like, I don't know what you call those, but those little segments that you get a message across, and it lets people think and helps validate what they're going through.
I'm smiling and I'm laughing because Anushka didn't plan for this. She was so ready. She's got notes for you, and now you're giving her compliments, and I'm watching her with that smile light up. This is so good between both of you. I love it.
No, and you're absolutely right. Thank you, Paxton. And thank you, Dr. Kenya Speaks TV. Marnie, I just wanted to emphasize, yes, that you're absolutely right. Sometimes people don't have the time or even the financial resources for therapy. And again, if you think about it, therapy is about speaking your truth, speaking about your experience. And so that's why journaling, writing it down, is so therapeutic. It's another way of expressing. What you're doing is you're creating an outlet to allow these words, to allow these thoughts and emotions, because emotions are also attached to words. So when people are writing in their journals, when they're writing about the experience, the mind, it processes so much. And through that processing, we're able to attach different meaning. We're able to understand this in a different way. And it is really cathartic. It's really healing.
I agree. Yeah.
I'm going to move to, I'm going to put something up on the screen that I kind of teased a little bit and put it up there. It is a copy, the electronic copy of what you sent Anushka and us, Marnie. So give me a moment here. I'm going to put that up for us to see. I find this title, beautiful title you have there.
Thank you so
True
much.
Deceit, False Love.
Yeah.
I love that.
When you first told me, I went like, man, that's a T-shirt right there. That's
Yeah.
like a coffee mug. It's like for every survivor should get that, because it's almost two phases of life happening at the same time.
Mhm.
That's just my perspective and twist on it. The title in itself, I'm just curious. How did you come up with that title?
You know, I had that title in me actually while I was married. So I actually at some point was trying to put the pieces of the puzzle together. I had that cognitive dissonance. I knew something wasn't just right, but I hadn't gotten to the point where my light bulb was fully illuminated. So I guess early on I was just kind of writing down some things. And I have a background in education. So I was a high school teacher for 35 years and an adjunct university professor for 12. And so I'm just very familiar with, writing and working out things that way. But I actually came up with that title while I was married. And I was thinking true love, but this isn't true love. It's anything but true love. What it was true deceit. So the love
Wow.
was false. And so I just I always had that title in my mind. And actually when I did my spiritual fiction and your copywriting things, or you're buying domains,
Right.
for future websites or whatever. This is, I did all that before I even began writing. I actually purchased the domain for True Deceit,
Oh,
False
really?
Love, because even back
Wow.
then, because I knew I needed to do something with that. I didn't quite know what, but I knew I needed to do something, and it just to me made sense. And then I did want to, with the subtitles, definitely address domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, and then later parental alienation, when that became, a part of the big turning point, the big eye opener that happened.
So when it came to this aspect of domestic violence,
Yes.
it's a heavy hitter.
Yeah.
Those two words. When it comes to domestic violence, how is it that the acrostic anthems play a part in helping someone heal from that, when it may be quite difficult for them to even gather their emotions? How does it help?
Well, there's many different forms that domestic violence can take place. There's many different ways that is expressed, or sometimes not expressed. So
Right.
sometimes the omission is part of it, where the victim, I don't always like to use the word victim, but that does,
Yeah. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I know what you
are
mean.
victims
Yeah.
in the beginning anyway. They're trying to make sense of things. But the acrostic anthems, I have 13 poems for each letter of the alphabet. And because I originally did a book with 15,555 terms, and they're all alphabetical as well, I went through and I tried to choose words for the acrostic poetry that would be not only healing for me, but would be general enough that anyone, a father, a mother, a child, a grandparent, even a boss or a worker, because there's narcissist abuse in the workplace as well. So with domestic violence, though, so many of the things that we experience can kind of transcend different labels. So even though you're highlighting domestic violence right now, someone that is in a workplace toxic situation could read some of these situations and find similarities with their experiences. So, and my poems are some of them are just informational, so that you can learn about it, without pulling out a dictionary, and you could really kind of learn about the details about the background. But some of them are just an emotional response to right. So there's an example there on the screen with, the A's, all the different A's that I chose out of the thousands and thousands of words that are used.
That was one of the things that as I was looking over this, I was binging Marnie for the past few days. So I could literally do like 5 shows with you right now, but I'm going to be really nice today. So there's so many questions that came into my mind. Any offhand, Anushka, just go ahead and jump in. But just scrolling through this, I'll continue to scroll through this. Anushka, if there's something you wanted to bring out or highlight as well.
There was one that I actually chose that I really wanted to talk about. But actually, before I do, you are absolutely right. This is a dictionary. This is exactly what this is. This is a dictionary for somebody who has experienced this type of abuse. And it's very specific. It's very particular, this type of abuse.
Yes.
And it's there. That's exactly what I wanted to talk about, the energy vampire and enmeshment. Because these are terms that we don't come across every single day. And, I remember I didn't even know what enmeshment means. I don't even know what is an energy vampire, but I don't know those. I think those two, and they happen to be, together, but those were the two kind of phrases that for me, energy vampire.
Right. Right. And actually, why don't I just read from my book?
Oh, perfect.
Please.
Absolutely
Yes.
perfect.
So,
wait, which one, by the way?
well, this is the green book.
Oh, I love that. Yeah,
That's
Of the
I got mine.
actual acrostic poems. So for people that are looking at the book or want to look at this,
Which page is that, by the way?
this page is 68.
Okay.
68 for the energy vampire.
I'm going to attempt to get there, but go ahead.
Right. And so when you look at it, an acrostic poem has the word vertically. And then you take the letters of those words and you either put individual terms or you make a sentence and make it all connecting. And what's really cool about this is you can really tailor it to your own situation. When you're doing like the workbook part of it. But so understand when I'm reading the poem, I am following the acrostic pattern where it's, the first letter is E for energy vampire. And then at some point, the word naturally comes in there. So there's the N. So I'll just read what the poem is for energy vampire. So empaths and honest good souls are naturally giving and trusting people and connect emotionally with others. Narcissists are really the complete opposite. The covert's goal is to take as much from you as they can, just like what we talked about. You become very worn out because the relationship is always unbalanced. Narcs love to engage in mind games. These games are regularly played as they completely suck all the life in you out. The malignant narcissists are relentless, and your supply will never be enough for them. They are energy vampires. And actually, Dr. King just wrote in there, venomous vipers. So like, and actually, it's very cool that you wrote that, Dr. King, because if you were in the workbook and I already give one suggestion for V, and then actually I give one example of a poem for V and 2 suggestions, and then there's room for you to do your own. You might want to pick venomous vipers for V and do a poem with that. So
a person can really, no matter what their set of circumstances are, what they're living in, they literally can begin to connect words and express themselves with what they're going through.
Most definitely. Like, for example, there are thousands of words under F. And in the acrostic poetry book, flying monkeys, for example, is one of the F terms. Well, you might want to give your own F word and put in what you want to say with that. Or you could put a person's name, Fred or Fiona or whatever. You can put in your own situation, whatever it is,
Good idea. Yeah.
and then you can, create your own healing.
There,
Yes. That's
I'm
such
sorry.
a good
Go ahead,
idea.
Anushka,
Sorry,
please.
Paxton. I was just going to
No,
say
go
that's
ahead.
exactly it. Put the name down and just really explore it. And it's really healing. Definitely. Sorry, go on, Paxton.
One that was very healing for me was birthdays ruined or holidays ruined.
Oh,
Because,
yeah.
I would always go to so much effort with my two beautiful children to have very memorable holidays with a lot of laughter and a lot of fun. But it seemed that the abuser always wanted to dim that light.
Yeah.
And somehow there were conditional things, and there was the kids might not have noticed, but I sure did. And so it was very healing for me when I was actually writing the poetry to just write about like the emotions I had with holidays and birthdays and joyous occasions that were always kind of sabotaged, so
And they always are.
but
Because
it was, yeah, they want to take away anything that brings you joy. Like even so much so, like if like this is something both of you don't know about me, but you've heard of James Taylor and his music, I'm sure.
Yes. Yes.
Famous folk singer. Well, I actually am friends with his brother Livingston Taylor,
Oh,
and
wow.
who I met when I was in college, and I've sung on stage with him 11 times.
Okay, that's two things then we don't know. You didn't ever tell now all the talking we've done. You never told me you sing. But go ahead. Okay, go ahead, please.
I don't really. But I did this Loving Arms duet with him 11 times on stage over like a 30-year period. And the last was out in Maine, I believe. I flew to Maine and was part of his show, which was great. And he is just an amazing musician. You know that he's James Taylor's brother because there are definitely similarities, but there's definitely a lot of differences. But so I really enjoyed doing that. My first time singing with Livingston was at the Old Town School of Folk Music in Chicago because I spent the majority of my life in the Chicago suburbs. Well, that was such an exciting thing for me. But that was something that my abuser would slowly sabotage, like tell me negative things about him or that just discounted that I loved that music. And so it's even something like that. It's a little strange, but the things that you like, whether it's a musician or an author or a movie or a TV show or certain type of clothes or certain foods. I mean, it doesn't matter what it is. The narcissistic abuser will make you question why you like that, and kind of put thoughts in your head that really you shouldn't be liking that. Or like, let's say you have a good friend that you've met someone and you really are connecting with them. They will actually make up things. They'll say, "Oh, did you know that friend came on to me and they said bad things, and I don't think you should really hang out with them." And you very easily then say, "Well, I don't want you to feel uncomfortable. I just won't pursue that friendship," or whatever. When really they're just trying to isolate you and sabotage your happiness. And
so true.
Yeah, so that's just an example of that.
But that's a common thing that takes place. It's very personal because each individual goes through it. But it seems, as you said at the beginning, Marnie, as well as you, Anushka, this is a common thing that many experience, that what they like is sabotaged, undermined, and they set individuals up with false statements to sabotage their happiness. I just want to do this. What was it like, if you could describe for those who are just beginning this journey of being as it were, having their eyes open, being in a position where they're starting to understand. What was it like emotionally for you? You loved doing that with
Oh, as
Livingston
far as
Taylor.
singing, yeah.
What was it like emotion? Describe it if you could, please, so that others can begin to understand they need to describe their emotions.
Well, I'll tell you, it was upsetting because you'd like to think that someone who cares about you would kind of care about some of the same things that you like. But, you know, luckily, you know, I did have a light within me, and I did have enough, I don't know what you call it, you know, enough strength within me to still pursue the things that I like to do. So even though he was trying to dumb that down or get me to stop doing some of those things that I enjoyed, like the times I would sing on stage with Livingston, I continued to do it, but I ended up just doing it alone.
Oh, wow.
And so when I wanted him to maybe be there to videotape me, you know, like
Right.
record of this to show our children, you know, I didn't have that support. So I would have to like go into Chicago by myself and do
Wow.
that myself. And then that translates to other things, you know. This is a little off topic, but not really. You know, when you are going through domestic violence, narcissist abuse, you know, your emotions and your emotional illness in a way can kind of transfer to physical ailments. So there are a lot of people that are in these situations that all of a sudden get autoimmune diseases, or, you know, they just they are not as healthy as they once were. And then I will tell you, if anyone's experiencing that, once you remove yourself from these toxic people, you know, it's amazing how, like, I have absolutely no health issues at all, but it's a very different scenario than where I was. And so what will happen, just like the abuser would not support me when I was going into Chicago or, you know, performing or whatever, they won't support you with medical things. So I remember I needed to at one point try to figure out, you know, my local doctor, you know, family doctor said, really, there's nothing wrong with you. But I knew something was still wrong. And so I went ahead to go to the Mayo Clinic, but the abuser sets this up that you're on your own. I mean, I just remember, you know, going a week to the Mayo Clinic, and I flew myself there. I did it, you know, I navigated the whole thing myself. There was no support, not even a phone call of how you're doing or whatever. And actually, that, looking back, that was probably a great time for him with many of his, you know, he had numerous infidelities, and that I'm sure was, you know, set up for that. But the support is not there. And so you know, to answer your question, the emotions, you're really kind of feeling isolated. And that's the start of it. They want you isolated where you have no support system, and they want you to just kind of give up on your own dreams or interests and stuff. And most of us do. We give up a lot. That's why it's such a process afterwards to start reclaiming our life back again and just saying, who was I, you know, 30 years ago? What are some of the things that I like? And, you know, make up who I am as a person. It's like you have to learn that over again because you've been put down so much and belittled, you know, and discounted and dismissed.
Did you feel yourself getting lost? Because when you're dealing with this narcissistic abuse, did you feel yourself getting lost in that you didn't know who you were?
That's a good question. I could see how that could happen to a lot of people. I don't feel that I got lost, but I certainly was in a state of cognitive dissonance for a long time. So I wasn't necessarily lost, but they do get you to question your own reality.
Okay.
In fact, they even, you know, my abuser, I had a very, very successful 35-year career as a teacher. At one point, the abuser was really trying to get me to go on disability. And I would be like, well, we'll go on disability for what?
Wow, that is
You
something
know, like,
else.
what, well, you have fibromyalgia, which is this autoimmune or whatever. I said, but that's not affecting my work, or, I
Wow.
really love teaching, and
Yeah.
it brings me a lot of joy. And um, I couldn't understand, but they want to get you to a point where you're not even
You were going to be in lockdown.
yourself.
You were going to be in lockdown, Marnie. You weren't going to have a paycheck. You were going to have to rely totally on his abuse to keep you alive and breadcrumbing you, huh?
And
Yeah.
actually, a lot of people, I've heard of many fathers that love their children and wanted to say, okay, well, listen, I will stay home with the kids and raise them and bring them to their activities, and I'll make the lunches for school and that type of thing, while their wife, is the breadwinner. And that would be a joint decision, supposedly, that they. But
Yeah.
it's really not a joint decision, because in the two cases that I know, that wife really was trying to get the husband completely dependent on her. In fact, even said, listen, I think it's too much for us to have two checking accounts. Why don't I just
Oh, wow.
checking account,
Wow.
and then I'll give you an allowance for the groceries. And so that husband then, at one point went along with it, saying, okay, well, that sort of makes sense. We'll keep it, we'll simplify here. But then the allowance for the food is just basic necessities. The allowance would get reduced and reduced. Oh, this is a tough month or whatever. And so because that father really allowed the mother to just kind of run the show with all that, he didn't really realize the financial abuse that was happening there. And that's a huge, the money manipulation is a huge component with this type of thing. These abusers believe that money is power. And so they will use that. They will buy off children. They will withhold it from you. Even though we had a very good salary between our two salaries, and his was double than mine, I always felt like we never had enough money. So I went to garage sales, and I would go to Goodwill just to buy my kids clothes, because I don't even think I ever brought my children once to a shopping mall, and that's something I didn't really love to do, to go to a shopping mall, but I always was made to believe we just didn't have the money, when really we had the money. We had more money than we needed, but he had ulterior motives.
They were, I should say, narcissistic abuse. Those who do that, they love skimming from the top and taking something for themselves and setting it aside and keeping things hidden. This seems to be, I'm saying that because it seems to be a thing I hear common doing this show now for almost 3 years. It's not 3 years, but 2 years rather. It's been quite amazing to hear the stories of individuals having their income that they have been making and was doing just fine before they met this person, all of a sudden starts shrinking, and all of a sudden nobody has money.
And there's
until they discard and walk out, and all of a sudden they have money.
Right, and there's no accountability for it. And actually, many you find out later, many of them have addictions. They have whether it's pornography or gambling or
Absolutely.
Every single time, yes.
Yeah,
every single time it's those.
And actually, some people have other families while they're married to.
I've heard that too.
Yeah, I've heard that a lot as well.
They're supporting children, love children that they might not even know, but they are.
Yeah,
the money is just unbelievable. It's used as a manipulation tool, and
yes.
And it getting back to what we were originally talking about, it makes the victim, it makes the targeted person, let's say that instead.
Yeah,
it makes the target dependent,
Mhm.
and they have to ask for it's not an equal footing. It's like, you have
No.
to ask for, can I please have $10 to,
Mhm.
do this? Well,
Okay.
you need $10? Can't you do that
Yeah.
for 5? So.
Okay.
Yes.
With that in mind, we've gone 56 minutes, and I do have to leave a moment of the show in which I get to torture you, which is coming up. But first, I'm going to do something else. I need your thoughts, both of you. Feel free to share your thoughts on this. I'll put it up on the screen. With all that has been said, there still comes this opportunity that the narcissist will want to come back or do a heat check, as it were, or a thermometer check to see where they stand, to see if there's other things they want to do. In your book, your third book, I call it the Green Book,
Yeah.
True Deceit, False Love is the series of books dealing with domestic violence, narcissistic abuse, and parental alienation. They love to hoover. Not everybody's experience is the same, but you wrote this. I love what you wrote here. Can we talk about it a little bit, please?
Well, I'd like to say hoovering takes on many forms, because once my light bulb went on, and then I was threatened with, don't you dare divorce me, or I'll take your house, your money, your children. That was it. I didn't have like the traditional hoover where they want to come back. At that point, after 20, over 25 years of marriage. So some people experience that type of hoovering. However, I'm currently being hoovered. So I filed for divorce in 2013. I'm currently being hoovered as far as being taken back to court. So, like, even though it's been almost a decade, the abuser is filing false petitions. They're all done in bad faith, and but you have to address it because it's a legal document against you, and so there's hoovering that way. But I experienced a hoovering before we got married. So at one point, I was in love with my charismatic abuser. I was just in love with him, and I was ready to get married, and I wanted to have a family so bad. And so when you want to be married and have a family, you overlook all sorts of things. But anyway, I just thought, okay, this we need to be together. And then he told me, well, my old girlfriend is living with me now. She's from out of state.
Whoa.
And I thought, well, what do you mean? And and he would say, well, we're not romantic. And I know he had the smallest place, so I can't imagine she had like another room to go to or anything. But that was
Crazy.
just shocking to me.
That's crazy.
And then I remember, yeah, it was just shocking to me. And this is before we were married. So and then he even went on to say how she's got a bank account with his bank. And I'm like, well, that had to have been a little bit more serious if she's getting a bank account. She's from out of state. Well, I'm just trying to help her find a job. And I mean, the excuses were believable, but not believable. But then I cut it off completely then. So I was just like, I don't think so. I don't think so. This is not right. But a few months later, I understand what hoovering is, because he hoovered me and said, you are the one that I want.
Wow.
Even though she's still living with me, I'm setting it up for her to go back to, her state and all that. And I was young and naive, and I thought, wow, he really does love me. That he's, but so I experienced what it's like to be hoovered, but it was before I was married.
Wow.
Bless you. Yes. I think it's also important to remember that actually hoovering, you're right, exactly what you said, that it takes on many different forms, and it can be positive and negative. I guess what is positive hoovering? I guess where there isn't a lot of malice and anger behind it, because actually stalking can be a form of hoovering when somebody is watching you, you know, online or physically watching you. I didn't know that, but I learned that not so long ago, actually, when I was doing research into one of my videos. But that's what I mean by kind of negative hoovering. But positive, it's more of the, oh, like what you experience. Oh, you're the woman of my dreams. I want you. It's you're the one. You know, I guess that's more in a positive sense, because there isn't a negative part of it there. But hoovering is a really peculiar thing, isn't it? It's full of lies. There is there's no intent of there ever being this healthy relationship. But yeah, it's all about.
And there's a harem. You know, one of the terms is a harem garage or a harem closet.
Yeah.
These abusers, whether it's men or women, they try to hold on to their past relationships. They keep the door open with these past relationships. So, like, for example, in my case, when, you know, they move on right away, like when they know you are done and you're not, you know, going to have any part to do with it, they already have these people lined up for years. They just keep the contact going. In fact, I can even remember many of the Christmas cards that I would write would be to some of these women.
Wow.
And so, you know, he immediately went back to a high school girlfriend and, you know, even was paying for trips to, you know, out to Vegas and different things, you know, even though the divorce wasn't final. He keeps in touch with work relationships, some people, and you know, so he always kept the door open so that he could go back to these people. And then currently, from what I understand, my ex is engaged to marry our next door neighbor, who we lived next to for like over 15 years. And so you know,
that's sickening.
People,
I mean,
isn't it? That's so weird.
But
weird. I'm sorry. Yeah, weird. That's
didn't you know that? And even now, I'm like, I don't know that they were really involved, but something had to have happened, because you know, he's back in the old neighborhood right now, which is just it's just mind-boggling. But they juggle supply. And in my case, and I think this happens with other people, mine's a little extreme, but he would embed their names, their birth dates, their addresses, their phone numbers. He would embed them in the numerous passwords that he would have.
wow.
So at one point, when the family computer was left, I thought just because he wanted to help me out, so I would have the family computer. I didn't realize it was to spy on me as well, but he must have forgotten to delete a few things. There were a few things that actually the police had to look at.
They always get caught. They always get caught.
They always do, don't they?
Although the justice doesn't always
busted.
They don't always get consequences for their actions, but the truth does eventually come out.
Absolutely.
But I was able to see and figure out, it took a long time, but I was able to figure out these codes, these secret codes that involved different initials. So I actually learned of a few of the infidelities that I didn't know about because of the codes that I was able to unravel with the birth dates and the phone numbers, you know, because even with the phone numbers, then I could look up the phone number or even look in my own family address book and say, oh my God, that's her phone number.
Wow.
So they go to a lot of extremes. It's a really sad life, I believe, for them, because they put so much effort into the juggling of supply, but also the stalking. You know, they just are obsessed with you. Even if they've moved on, they really haven't moved on because you are the one that got away. And they just they obsess over you. They obsess. Not only do they want to know where you are, what you're doing, who you're seeing, that type of thing, but they also are looking to see if there's anything you can do that they can bring you back to court for.
That's what you've been experiencing though, right? For sure.
Oh, yeah.
along with a
Yeah.
number of other people being dragged, as it were, back into court
Yeah.
over petty and foolish and childish things so that they can continue to cause havoc in your life. We
Yes.
we are going to do a couple of things here. There's so much that I want to do with you, Marnie, Anushka, and I together to talk with you. Hopefully, we will be able to schedule more this year together to delve into the book and aspects that you have learned that can help other people. But now it's my turn to torture you.
All right.
So here we go. I'm going to put something up on the screen, and I just want you to speak from the heart and have at it. Let's do this first. How do I deal with friends who become flying monkeys?
Okay, Anushka, do you want to take this or do you want me to?
Oh, thank you. Okay. Oh, this is really sad, when it's friends and people who you've invested time and energy and emotion into. But I think what you've got to remember is that these people are, dragged into the world of this narcissist, of this person. And I feel like whatever you do, it's going to be like a losing battle. And I think the best thing to do in these situations is you have to cut them off. And I know that's really heartbreaking because, like I said, they're your friends. You've invested time, you've got to know them, but all they're going to be doing is reporting back to the narcissist. And the thing is, you're never going to be able to feel comfortable with them is because you're going to be thinking about what do I say? Because and where do I go with them? Or how do I address this? I don't want to lie to them because we're not liars. We tell the truth, but and then it becomes really difficult. So then that's not really a friendship, is it? That friendship or the way that you knew that person, that doesn't exist. So it becomes really skewed and you become uncomfortable. And what's the point of living life like that? I just think it is really sad when friends do become flying monkeys. This has happened to me. I've experienced this. It is heartbreaking, but you got to let them go because it's just they believe the narcissist's cause or the narcissist's version of things. And it's just you'll become re-traumatized having to over-explain yourself, over-validate things. And it's just, there's no point.
Right. Actually, you know, that's a wonderful response to that. How do you deal with friends? And actually, some of these friends are friends that you had before the relationship.
Yeah.
So you had a
That's
history with them
bad.
for years. I found that with a lot of things, it was very easy, like even right on that there wasn't a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
There were some neighbors, of course, but when you are a targeted person of this, you lose your relationship with your neighbors. It doesn't matter if you've lived in the neighborhood and you were almost best friends with everyone for 20 years. The abuser has already been working on them for years. So
Yes.
I found that with the flying monkeys, there were a lot that just divided themselves without any problem. But then there were some that just kind of hung on. And there was, I just remember one relationship that I really, really liked this woman. I really, really did. We connected on many different levels. And she was the only one that I actually had to tell her, listen, I would love a friendship with you, but because of your connection, and she had huge connections to his side, I just said I no longer can have a friendship with you. So I at least knew early on, without learning about any of this, that there was no way that there could be overlap at all. And then what's really interesting is you get contacted out of the blue by former friends or neighbors, and it's real clear to you that they don't have good intentions, that they're not really wanting to connect with you. They're really trying to gather information and report it back to the abuser. So at some point, you can identify these flying monkeys very easily.
So you're saying it's not always innocent when someone reaches out?
No. Sometimes it is, but most of the time, I don't think it is, in my experience.
Yeah. So I'm gonna put something up for you here. Since that's the case, then that means we need to have healthy boundaries then.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about that for those, again, the majority of the audience that watches these shows are individuals who are just beginning their journey. The analytics show for us, since we've landed here on YouTube, our audience is between the ages of 13 and 35. So speak to those individuals about healthy boundaries.
Go ahead, Anushka.
Oh, bless you. Okay, thank you. So healthy boundaries, to develop boundaries or to understand what they are, you actually have to really understand yourself and have a good relationship with yourself, feel connected to you, because then you know where you can and when you can't. And so that's really identifying, how you're willing to allow other people to treat you, or how do you want to be treated? How would you interpret that? Are you going to accept that? Is that good enough for you? Is that acceptable for you? And that takes a lot of knowing yourself, connecting to yourself, knowing actually what is acceptable or not. Is it acceptable for somebody to shake your hand when you first meet them? Is it acceptable for someone to slap you on the face, second time you meet them or after an argument? It's those things. I know I'm giving really extreme examples, but it's just those little things that actually you need to be aware of, because if you're not, then people will trample all over you and treat you however they think or however they wish. And that doesn't really correspond with your own interpretation of how you want to be treated. And so boundaries really is, it's about letting other people know what is acceptable for you and what is not. But you've got to know what is acceptable for you. And if you don't, then it's really important that you get to know that, but you also stick to that, because it takes courage and it takes confidence to be able to exercise those boundaries to others. But it is really, really important, but also life-saving that you do have boundaries.
Yeah, definitely. That's wonderfully said. And like you said, the courage, it does take courage, because we are not the empaths and loving people. We're not that confrontational. We're very accepting and open people. And so it goes kind of against our nature in a way to put up the boundaries. And so a couple things to this answer. I would say, you need to do some of the inner work, and that is a process that doesn't happen overnight. In fact, I decided at the start of this new year that was a good time for me to set some boundaries with some people that normally I would not have boundaries with at all. And that was very, very hard to do. And you second guess yourself and you feel guilty in a way, like, I've had this relationship for so long, for me to go no contact or go low contact is really, pretty extreme. But you find you need to, so you do some inner work and you realize what makes you a target. What are some of the patterns that you have developed over the years? And you might find that some people, even family members that you thought really had your back, and you were, they don't necessarily. And so it's a scary thing to do. It does take courage to put up those boundaries. And then also when you get a little more comfortable with that, with new acquaintances or relationships, then you have to be a little bit more discerning. You get stronger and stronger with each situation.
You both are knocking it out the ballpark. There's a lot of comments I just can't even put on the screen. But we've been moving rather quickly on this discussion, a number of different things. We're looking forward to spending more time with you, Marnie. But here we go. I got two more things for you, and then I promise you will be able to go about your day or evening in a beautiful way. But I've got to ask this question. Here we go. That's not true. I got three things, but here we go. I'm going to put something up, and Marnie, this is for you. Okay. I want you to feel free to describe this picture.
Hey, that's me with longer hair. Well,
you look like a person who has healthy boundaries right there.
I'll tell you, I evolved into a person with healthy boundaries. So that picture is actually my backyard. I live in the Caribbean, and just I was really kind of coming into my own, writing the books, and really, luckily, I'm spending my days with a life partner, and he gets it, even though he doesn't have children. Um, he has experienced situations himself, and actually, understands the players in the game. And so, um, when you are surrounded in happiness, and I got myself to a safe place, you really are happy. So that photo of me, um, was just, actually, I think that's the photo in my fourth book that's at the
Yes.
publisher right now. Actually, that's the photo that's there. I wasn't quite yet ready for the short hair to be out there.
Oh,
You look
you,
beautiful with
I was
your
just about to say
hair.
that you do. You look beautiful, and the energy of you on that photo, you can really see
Yes,
so much
I agree.
health, happiness. It's beautiful,
I agree.
honestly.
I agree. Okay, so since that's the case, and you've given us some background there about you and the where you are right now, but
Yeah.
more importantly, the stylish, beautiful look that you have on right now. Uh, it's an inside joke. No, everybody's not going to understand what's going on with the three of us do, so
We
just
know,
endure
we
that.
know what you're
Yeah,
saying.
yeah, we know what's going on. Okay, so here we go. I'm going to put something up, and please tell me what you think. Sometimes people find themselves in a position in which, whether it be flying monkeys, whatever it may be, whoever may come into their life, they feel a need to do something, and they want to try to do this. They want to prove themselves to other people because of being victimized by an abuser, by a freeloader, by an individual who is less than what they say they are. Why is it important for a person in recovery, as they move toward regaining their strength and their emotional stability, to balance out their life, to regenerate their life? Why is it important for them to stop trying to prove themselves to other people? Anushka, you're always going to go first, by the way. Let me just clarify that.
Okay, all right.
So,
I feel bad.
no
Um,
pressure, brother.
Okay, no, it's fine. Yeah, this is because if you're trying to prove yourself to others, this isn't, in a way, it's an abusive. You've been conditioned to do this. Like, this is what your abuser, has made you do. Like, you've always got to try and prove yourself. You're always second guessing yourself. So it's kind of instilling the premise for that you're not good enough, that you're not enough, by yourself. So you've got to prove your worth. You've got to prove who you are. But actually, you don't need to do any of that, because you're already enough. But when you're with the abuser, they make you believe that you're not enough. So you have to prove yourself. You have to prove that actually this is the truth, or this is what's going on. And it's almost, I want to say that it's almost like gaslighting yourself a little bit, because you're trying to prove who
Right.
you are to others, because you need the validation from others, when actually you already are enough, and you have to believe that within yourself. So this is the secondary level of abuse that's continuing after the abuser has made you kind of believe that you're not enough, and you're having to prove yourself. And so, yeah, it's kind of continuing this abuse.
I totally agree. And the only thing I would add to that is it kind of puts you in a defensive mode, where
Oh,
you're
good
just
point.
having to defend yourself, when really, like you said, you're good enough for who you are. And in time, you'll find others that you resonate with, that you're not in a competition for. You're not in a, there's just a balanced acceptance.
When it comes to your experience today on the show, both of you, what is it that has happened in the show? Be nice now. That you had no idea was going to happen, or that you enjoyed?
So for me, what I really enjoyed was spending time with both of you. Actually, you're two of my favorite people. And I'm not just saying that because you guys are here. I really have enjoyed it. And it's been really lovely, being on the show with you, Dr. Marnie. It's been so lovely, to, be in your presence, also read your books. It's just been a really lovely, surreal also experience that, I'm on the show with Dr. Marnie, like these are her books. It's just amazing. It's been really lovely. I guess that for me, that's what I really enjoy.
And the admiration is mutual, and it's amazing when you meet other people that resonate with you, and they've had their own experiences, but they certainly understand yours. There's a connection that is it's hard to explain.
Yes.
You want to have okay, so we're talking about healthy boundaries, but at some point you start to realize who are the real deal. And so I feel the same way too. When I came on today, I was thinking I am getting to spend some time with two people that mean a lot to me, and that I am so glad are in my life. And I know
you're doing it. You're doing it to me. You did it when we had our private show, and now you're doing it in public.
But what? We are connected in so many ways. Plus, I can't wait to the time that we all can just get together and laugh and even talk about things other than all of this. And,
Bingo.
And we're from different parts of the world. I'm in the Caribbean. Anushka's in the United Kingdom. You're on
California,
West Coast of the United States. And I know we're going to be coming together and sharing some great times. We have many things that we're going to get together. But I love the fact that we can virtually connect like this. And I think just our conversations and addressing these topics can help a lot of people just by tuning in, and they can resonate with, hey, I'm going through. Oh, look at someone says the 3 months.
Are you serious? They just put that. I had to put that up on the screen.
That's so true.
I didn't put up everything that people have said because they're trying to keep the show moving, but I had to put that one up. That's a great one.
Thank you.
I mean, it's such an honor to have both of you endorse my books because I value what you do so much. And before we even met, I was following you, not stalking you, not that kind of thing, but I would tune in to the messages that you would, have, or the guests or the topics. And it resonated with me so much that I took the risk to reach out to make even a bigger connection. And I'm so glad that I did, because I'm so glad you're in my life.
You have no idea how much we talk about you.
We do.
No, I'm serious. Anushka and I connect and talk about a number of different things and projects and so forth. But you mean a lot to us, and we stumbled across actually talking about you. Anushka, I know you still hear me though, right? You're there, okay? Because I don't know. We were talking one day, and I think you mentioned Anushka the endorsing the book. And then I mentioned it because we hadn't really told anybody yet. I just got to run through some names here before we go. We have gone 1 hour and 24 minutes. It says here, the endorsements, Sherry McGregor. I'm going to do this to you. Now, please, you know me at this point and done enough shows with me, Marnie. I just want you to say a couple of words about the names I'm about to throw at you, okay?
Sure. Oh,
Sherry McGregor.
Author of Done with the Crying and Beyond Done with the Crying, books and workbooks. She helps parents that are estranged from their children. Right. She is awesome. Yeah, just awesome.
Ashley Burgess.
Rock star. So she is the nationally syndicated radio host of podcasts and, live your best life perspective. She, if you tune into her podcast or her shows, definitely you'll resonate with her messages. Yes. Just lovely individual.
Yes. Listen to her for years, without a doubt. Trisha Barker.
Amazing person. She is someone I connected on the spiritual side of things because she is a near-death experiencer who wrote Angels in the OR, but she also wrote a poetry book about loving God and narcissists. So she has had her own experience with narcissistic abuse, but also we resonate with the same message about spirituality and that goodness prevails. So yes, she's awesome.
Here you go. Another one before we go here. My buddy Christopher, narc survivor.
So I didn't even know his first name. So it's okay. So narc survivor is someone that I would tune into. Very unique voice, unique
Yes.
perspective for someone who appears pretty young to have such wisdom. But I was thrilled when I reached out that he was interested in endorsing my book. So that was awesome. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going to do this to you. I'm not leaving until I do this. Jennifer J. Harmon.
Amazing researcher. Dr. Harmon has actually she's out of Colorado and does major research on parental alienation. You can always catch her TED Talk that has been played and replayed by, I can't tell you how many countless people. But so she takes it to the next level with parental alienation, where she does the research and then supports parents that are going through this.
Tamara Sweeney.
One of my best friends. She has Love Dominates, which now has kind of morphed into Agape Love Dominates. She is sailing around the world, spreading the word of love. Agape means love, and her website is Love Dominates. She is a very, very strong survivor who has been alienated from her 4 beautiful children for 10 years. 10 years. And is still in the courts with the abuser.
Crazy. I remember you telling me about that. Okay, just a few more here. Mr. Sam Vaknin.
Well, we kind of talked about him.
Yeah.
A lot of these phrases, and he provides so much information and perspective and research on all of these dynamics. Lisa
A. Romano.
She is the breakthrough life coach. So many of us have tuned into her just down to earth conversations. You listen to her and you feel like you're just sitting having a cup of tea and talking about this. So Lisa A. Romano, I was so honored that she chose to endorse my book and even said I was a lighthouse for others.
Yes, you are, without a doubt. And Anushka. You have any thoughts about her? Who's that lady? I don't know. Who's Anushka? Here's the other book.
Someone that I just feel is like a sister to me. Yes. So, and here she is. But Anushka, you really get it. And you really help so many people. I love reading the comments of what people are saying when they hear what you have to say. But you have a psychologist practitioner background to bring that perspective. And so we all can learn something from you. And so I constantly tune in because I know I'm going to learn something new. But you really get it, not only from your own experiences, but just how you've helped so many other people.
Now, look, I may have, and I hope I did not leave someone out showing each one of the books. Of course, this is going to be 24/7 video library on YouTube.
Right.
This is the one that I'm addicted to. This thing right here. This thing is awesome. I'm serious. All of the books are great. I feel that. But I literally cannot put this thing down. I find something new. You have an amazing mind, Marnie. Some of the things that you wrote in here to get people jump started.
I'll tell you, it was just so very healing. A person that we didn't mention, but we mentioned earlier on in the show is Tracy A. Malone.
You're directing the show. I was saving that on. I can't believe you just did that to me.
Right.
I've deliberately set this up to finally end the show that way, but now you've just called it into the show. Go right ahead. It's your show.
Kind of full circle here. But Tracy and I.
Saving her for last.
Tracy and I have actually become good friends as well. I've been out to Colorado where she is.
Okay.
She's actually come to the Caribbean where I am. Cool. So we really have connected on many levels. Yes. And I've actually, she's asked me to read some of her work to help with grammar, punctuation, and she doesn't need a lot of help. She's a wonderful writer and she's got great perspectives personally, but also the work that she does with her meetup groups or her workshops are just fantastic. But Tracy was another one of those wonderful, wonderful people that I have, it's transcended just the professional connection, so because we resonate. We all get it. You know, we get it.
I have
We're nice
en-
people.
I,
We really have fun. You know.